Hello, everybody. Welcome to Audrey Live here today again, Thursday at 1. So nice to have everybody on with us today and excited about our guests and our show today. First of all, I just thought I'd just kind of share with you. I've been kind of doing a little bit of a remake on my own space up here. It just was not working for me the way I had it set up. And we're kind of redoing the office right now with the anticipation of Corey coming home in a month or so. So we've kind of added on a little section. So I've kind of redone some areas and this just felt better. My lighting seems a little bit better here. We had new lighting put in and I felt like I was conflicting with it a bit. The glasses were cloudy sometimes and this just works a whole lot better. So I'll keep kind of revamping the space and changing things up so you can take a look and see, week to week, maybe if we have something new or different artwork. The artwork right here is one of my pieces that I painted just very simply. It was actually going to be for a class that I was teaching for a group, a fundraiser in the springtime that didn't work through. So hopefully I'll be able to teach it next year to them for their fundraiser. So anyway, on today's show, I'm so excited. We have the one and only Jill Fitzhenry. She is one of my favorite artists, Jilly Bean. Way back when I took classes from her in Las Vegas and always enjoyed her artwork and her teaching style and just her as a person. It's just amazing. So also I have Debbie Cotton is sending us or we'll be showing one of her outdoor spaces. She had a couple of quick little pictures on Facebook. So some of you might have seen it already, but she has the full video for us to show. So that's kind of neat. Another one of her outdoor spaces, which is wonderful for us to get inspired with. So also just wanted to make sure that if you are watching today, make sure you make comments, ask questions of myself, of Jill, of Debbie. People will be, they'll be watching it and we'll try to get back to your questions and answer them or your comments during the show. Otherwise we will after the show, definitely. So lots going on, so we better get right to it. Good friend of mine, Karen Beaupre. I hope I'm saying that right, Karen. She's out in BC. And she's been involved with some of our shows out there out west when we did the show in Penticton. I believe she's been to Alberta a couple of times at our show there. And today is an exciting day for her. She is opening a shop in Peachland, BC. Just beautiful area, absolutely amazing. I know I really thoroughly enjoyed when we had our shows there in Penticton. So she has her grand opening of Southern Ridge Trading Company today. And I'm going to try to share with you, I'm sure I can do it here, a little message that she sent for us. Here it comes, here it comes. Okay, let me just get it up here for you, and I know I will be able to. So I will do this, and here it comes.
Hi guys, hey, it's Karen from Southern Ridge Trading Company, coming to you from beautiful downtown Peachland, BC. I just wanted to give you a sneak peek of my store before we open this morning. This is the very first time we've been open to the public with my products, so here we go. Okay, so we have some displays all set up. All the stuff is made with the laser machine. It's either etched or cut, put together in mixed media style. Great for card making, scrapbooking, mixed media. Some more art, etched glass. Now I'll take you around the perimeter of the store. And here is all the die cuts. There's the miniatures, the wood, the chipboard. It goes on and on. It's the first time, like I said, that people can actually walk in and purchase from me, the manufacturer. We do have some great stores spread throughout Canada and the US as well. which I'm sure some of you are aware, and I'm so grateful for them all. There's some stencils, there's some bigger stuff for decorative painters, and of course, art materials for our mixed media, you name it, anything creative. So there you go, just a little sneak peek. Again, thank you everybody for your support on this endeavor. I'm so grateful. Have a great day.
So that is her shop. It was a little bit hard to hear, I think, because I think she's very excited as well and nervous for today. But she's got some amazing products. So if you are in BC and in the area of Peachland, BC, go check out her shop. Like I said, today's her grand opening, and I'm sure it's an amazing location. If you're not in BC, like myself, make sure you go to her website, which is www.chipboard.ca. I believe it's chipboard.ca. I will double check that for you and put it on. So, but yeah, she's got some amazing products, really neat products, and all made here in Canada. So just exciting to have that. We were talking last week about online classes. And I posted a little thing about, what do you like? What are the pros and cons about online classes? And I got a couple responses. So I'll just briefly, because we got a busy show today, so I'll just briefly touch on them today. And then I'll definitely, we'll keep every week kind of expanding on what we like and the pros and cons of online classes. Just want to say hi to everybody out there. I'm just so pleased that we have so many on today. Betty and David and hi, David Jansen. Nice to see you. And Janice, Debbie James, Heather DeYoung, no relation, but a good friend. Sammy and Linda, Liz, and many others that I can't see your name. So thank you for joining us today. And like I said, make sure you comment, ask questions, and we'll try to respond to them, but we'll definitely get back to you by the end of the show. So a couple of things that people had mentioned about online classes were Debbie Eckmeyer said the tech is pretty challenging at the beginning, which definitely I went through that as well, just doing the show. It's always a learning curve, but once you have it all set up, it's fun and it's easy. She's been doing some Zoom classes. Or will be doing some Zoom classes in the fall, but she's been doing some paint parties on Facebook. So that's kind of neat. Josie DiMaio says she usually teaches classes or workshops in classroom settings, 10 to 30 people. But of course, when COVID arrived, had to make some adjustments. But she's not set up for online classes yet, but she's learning, getting programs such as ManyCans, a special stand, she says. Then she created workshops step by step, filmed and edited things, and now she's learning how to use the platforms, and she's been using Zoom classes 3 times a week. So she's excited about that too. So also we have Linda O'Connell. She had a long list of pros and cons. So I'm just going to read a few of them this week, and then we'll touch on them again next week. Pros, of course, you can still help others create. Learn to demonstrate in her own box. So she's learned the Zoom thing that you can have a box that you're showing your face, and then you can have a separate box that you're showing what you're doing, your hands on. So that's kind of neat. Cons, she can't see what they're doing, what the students are doing as much, or you can through Zoom a bit, but it's not like you can go and stand behind them. And, if people really need help and assistance, that way is kind of hard on Zoom or the virtual. Like she said, sometimes they're having a hard time, and then you're trying to fix something that was like 5 steps ago. So it's kind of difficult that way. So easy projects are fine, but more of the difficult, intermediate to advanced products or projects might be a little more difficult. But I think one thing you can do is keep your class sizes smaller. For the more difficult pieces. I've heard of some people teaching online and they've got like 60 or 70 students. And I think that's fine if you have like a fairly simple beginner project, but once you're getting into the intermediate advanced, having smaller class sizes. Nicole Wright sent me some information, and she's been doing online classes for years, creating the content, design lines, and just has loved it. And it's been a really great source of income for her. So that's kind of neat to hear. But of course, with COVID, there's so many people that are giving free classes. So actually it's hurting people that, already are doing the online classes and streaming. Perhaps their class numbers are going down because there's so much free available now because everybody's going online. So keep that in mind too. These are artists that, have built up their artistic talents and all the classes that they offer. And it takes a long time for them to build up their clientele, and that free is great, but people need to keep in business. So always think about making sure you take classes that you're paying for as well. So Debbie James, I noticed a quick thing, and she said she's taking classes and giving classes, and there's benefits and drawbacks to both, but right now it's the only alternative that we have. So being isolated, this is a great idea that we can at least do the virtual classes. So anyway, I will talk more about that next week. And if you have any other ideas or suggestions, that would be great, that we can maybe keep the conversation going. And I'll definitely talk about Zoom and different platforms and things like that as well. So if you're taking classes or if you are giving classes, make sure that you give me your information. I'm just looking, Bella. Yes, great idea, Bella. That of course that you've recorded the class. That's really important. And then that recording is available to the students afterwards as well. So that, if they're doing something, they're not quite sure of a certain step, they can always go back and watch the recording. So anyway, that's all for that for now. Like I said, we will talk about that more, about pros and cons of online teaching. But right now I want to share with you Debbie Cotton. She showed us her boathouse space when we had our Pin Canada live virtual event, and she has actually has a new space that she's been working on. So I'm just going to share that with you right now. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a great summer. It sure is a hot one here in Caesarea, Ontario. So welcome back. I have another outdoor patio that's done, and I'd love to share it with you. So this patio's attached to the side of our house, and when we purchased our house, it was totally empty, and it's just a big concrete patio. So I had the bright idea of let's paint it. So here it is. So you'll just have to envision that it was just a plain concrete patio. I purchased this nice large tile stencil online, and I used Deco Art Americana multi-surface paints. I will show you those in a bit, but I wanted to show you the patio first. Spin you around here so you can see the lake. If you caught my boathouse painting on one of the last episodes. And the rails up here actually have the C's on them too. They were R's at one point when we moved in, and my husband cut off part of the R to create the C's for cotton. But I'm really super happy with the way the floor turned out. There are some imperfections, but honestly, you would never know. It just dressed it right up. Take you over here. Champ. Say hi to everybody. Say hi, Champ. Champ's just taking it easy on this hot day. Okay, so I hope you like the floor that I did. Actually, my husband questioned why I wanted to paint it, and so what we did basically was we power washed it, cleaned it really, really well, painted it just with the one coat of the gray. It could have possibly used a second coat, but I just thought, you know what, once you stencil it, you're never going to notice any, spots where maybe it could have been topped with a second coat. We opted to leave a little border around the outside edge. And we also opted not to paint the stairs, just because if the stairs were stenciled and the floor, it could maybe be a little bit of a trip hazard for people going in. It just might blend a little too much together, so we decided to leave the border around the outside edge and leave the stairs plain. I want to mention this big fireplace that we have, because one of the things when I was deciding to do this painting on the floor was that I didn't want to take away or compete with this beautiful flagstone fireplace. It goes right up. It's really, really big. It was one of the selling features when we purchased this home. So one of the reasons that I chose the gray color was because I pulled from the stone and the mortar. Okay, I just came to the outside of the patio so that you could see how we painted the sides of the concrete slab as well, which just finished it. I forgot to mention my little party lights on the patio. Everybody needs a little bit of party light. And I also forgot to mention that my husband actually helped me stencil, which is really super cool. He'd never stenciled before. I actually never took on a project like this before, so between the two of us, it actually worked out really, really well. So I brought you inside of my house. I wanted to show you the stencils that I used and the paint products. So I used Americana Outdoor Living. This is their, it's called Picket Fence. And I also used their Rock Garden. So these do not have to be sealed, but if you decided that you wanted some extra protection, you could use Deco Are Americana Duraclear varnish. This is their satin, but it also comes in different finishes. So this is the tile that I used, and it actually came in a double tile as well as a single, so that helped a lot. I believe it's about 17 inches square. And I ordered them from Cutting Edge Stencils. They have lots of different ones. The one that I used is called Santa Ana Tile. So I think it might be a little hard to see. I think I might be catching a bit of a shadow. But now that we're inside, I'll show you this awesome fireplace that's on the inside of our house, as well as the outside. So people that know me know that I just love to decorate and design. So I'll give you a quick little tour of what we've done. See Champ's basket of toys down there. The walls were all wood, so we painted them. Just trying to go slow. I've painted most of the furniture with the white chalk paint, also available from Deco Art. Really nice, easy product to use. So I'm just kind of turning around here. Now the fireplace is behind me. We knocked out walls and opened everything up. So there you go. There's a quick little peek into my home. So thanks everybody for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my short video. And I hope you've inspired to, I've inspired you to get outside and paint your patio, paint some furniture, and enjoy.
Wow, that was very inspiring. Just, I love that patio. I guess you don't think about doing a full out patio like that, but seeing it is just beautiful, just amazing. And yeah, definitely I think I would have tripped over that step, so that was a good idea, Deb, not to paint the steps. So there's some people that have asked a few questions, so I'll just make sure that Debbie answers you. I know some people were asking how many jars of paint did it take and how long did it take and things like that, so we'll make sure that we get Debbie to answer some of your questions there. And also, the name of the stencil, so we'll make sure all that's on there so that you have the information as you're looking for it. So today, our special live guest is Jill Fitzhenry, AKA Jilly Bean. I know a lot of you might know her from some of her patterns as Jilly Bean. Jill resides in Savage, Minnesota, and is a Dynasty brand specialist. And she is also a teacher coordinator for them. She is also a Deco Art helping artist, travel teacher, and a past president of the SDP, which is Society of Decorative Painters. For the past 40 years, she has produced hundreds of designs available as pattern packs, books, and videos. So welcome, Jill. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so excited.
I turned down my other, I was watching, so
well,
I had
that's
it
yes.
my son. I'll get that
I
turned
know
up.
when I first get it on my phone, I'm like, oh, put the volume down, put the volume down.
There we go. Oh, so nice to be here.
Yes, this is wonderful. So nice to have you with us. And so what are you up to nowadays? What's new and what have you been working on?
Gosh, well, you know, the one thing, there's been good and bad about being secluded for this virus. The good news is I've been able to actually do more designing because I'm not constantly packing my bags and unpacking them with all the travel that I normally do. So I've actually had more time to get some new things done, to play with some techniques that maybe I haven't before.
Yeah.
So that's been exciting. I miss all the people that, you know, are have been in the travel schedule. It was just sad that that had to happen, but we'll get through this, and there'll be more to come. And hopefully I've been working on educating myself on the Zoom classes, hope to try to get some of those started in the fall.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people that have been trying to, you know, they're doing them either live on Facebook or through Zoom. And
Yes.
I think it's a great, I mean, nothing beats being right there with the teacher.
Absolutely.
That's, you know, to me, that's number one, that you can be in the same class as the instructor and they can walk you through it and any problems you're having. But, you know, this is the next best thing that we can actually see each other. Like, I feel like I'm in the same room as you, but I'm not, you know, we're
I know. And I've had some once a week little get together with one of my good friends, Anna Marie Oak.
Oh, nice.
She keeps me on track and keeps me laughing. So being able to be face to face, even though she's, you know, long distance away and we can't travel right now together, that has helped. So I encourage anyone that is missing their friends, go ahead and get some FaceTime.
Yeah.
And
Oh, for sure.
It makes a difference. It's even better than just talking on the phone.
Yeah. It's so funny because I find now most of my meetings, I prefer to have them through Zoom face to face this way than even on the phone. I always say to people, you know, well, I need to, let's have a chat, but do you want to Zoom or do a Facebook thing instead of on the phone? It just makes it nicer to see the person and you just feel that connection. So that's kind of important right now too. So.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So how did the name Jilly Bean, where did that come from?
It is a nickname that my dad gave me when I was a little girl. I was always his little Jilly Bean. And then I just kind of grew up with it. And all my friends, you know, continued to call me that throughout all the years. And so when I started in the art industry and had to start signing my name, I thought, you know, I'm going to just use Jilly Bean as my signature for my artwork. And it stuck. Little did I know that, you know, it would continue for this many years and I'd be a grandma and still being called Jilly Bean, but it's worked.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because sometimes when I'm talking about you or, you know, something, I have to say, oh, Jill, no, Jill, because right away, like Jelly Bean, just it sticks. It just comes right to your mind first, actually. So, because I think
Yeah.
so many people know you as Jelly Bean.
That's right. And actually, there's a lot of people, when you say Jill Fitzhenry, they don't know who that is,
Who did?
but they know me as Jelly Bean. Yeah.
Good. So, when did your creative journey start? Like, when did you start into this industry?
Well, I started probably about 1979. I started taking classes in a little shop called Pipka's. And she is
Ah,
a very famous Bavarian folk artist.
yeah.
And I walked up by her shop. It was right across the street from me. And I walked up and saw all the beautiful painted things in the window. And I've always been artsy, crafty. I've always done drawing and everything from day one. My grandma was a porcelain painter, beautiful. My mother was a portrait artist for the photographs. She would do the photo coloring before they had colored photos. And so I came from, and even my grandfather was a sign painter. Before they, could print the signs, he would do all the gold leafing and the lettering and everything for businesses.
So it's definitely in your
I
blood.
came by it, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of came, it was always there. But 79 is when I started taking classes. And then after a couple of years, I started teaching in her shop. And then Pamela Kephart at the time, she managed the shop and she started a publishing company.
Okay.
And so she published my very first books. And she got me connected originally with Benny and Smith, who makes the Liquitex paint. And I went on to, doing their Liquitex certified instructor program, developed that for them. I started publishing books. And after my first book came out that she published, that was just all mine, I was in collaborative ones prior to that. The offers for travel teaching just boomed.
Wow.
And I started my journey travel teaching all over the United States and Canada, and eventually a little bit in Italy and South America and England. So I've really had a really special, blessed life as far as this art. It's taken me places I never thought I would go. So.
And so many people that you've met along the way and that you've influenced and started their journeys, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you never know how many lives you've actually touched. Every so often someone reaches out to me and they'll say, I went back to school because you inspired me.
Yeah.
Or I'm now doing this because you inspired me. And I love hearing that. I'm glad that I can bring out that talent that's hiding in everybody. It's
wonderful.
there. You just got to try.
Yeah. Good. So what are you working on right now? What are you going to show us today?
I am so excited. I love painting on glass. So this is one of my new designs. It's the Flamingo, and this is what I'm going to demonstrate, show you some tips and tricks on how to make the glass painting easier. I've got this was another one I got done at the same time, a little toucan.
Beautiful. It's adorable.
If you know the little tricks, it makes it a lot more successful. This is one that actually Dynasty Brush was nice to film this one for me. So this is available right now on YouTube. You can either find it through Dynasty Brush on YouTube, or you can go to my website and I have a link for it there, but there's a full length little video clip for that too. I love using the Deco Art products. I use mainly the Glossy Enamel, and then I also use multi-surface, just depending on the colors or what's available in my area. So they both work. I can use them both together on the same project. And in fact, I did do that with the Flamingo. So if I don't have to mix, I don't mix. but I can mix. And I also have a conversion chart now on my website for the two. So depending on which one you can get your hands on these days, there's a conversion chart between the two colors. So that
Perfect.
makes it a little bit
And what
easier.
is your website, Jill?
My
And I'm
website.
gonna, and then I'm gonna mute myself. So then you'll just keep going because then I won't keep coming on. So
Okay, all right, I'll take it from here then. So my website is jillybean.net, and you're able to find hundreds of patterns, all kinds of brushes. I carry just about all the Dynasty brushes. But I got to tell you, what really makes the glass painting easy is my glass art brushes. These are super, super soft. And that's what allows you to do the painting on the glass easier than if you're using your normal acrylic brushes. They have too much snap. So when they snap back, they wipe the paint off. And so you want to get a really nice, good coverage. Okay, so I am going to switch my camera here. Let's get in. I'm going to exit the full. Let's see if I can find my, I'm going to put it so that you can see exactly where I am. So here we go. Okay, so the brushes come in, I sell them in a couple different sets. So the one full set has 2 shaders, 2 liners, 2 rounds, and then a rake brush. I also have a cleanup and stipple set, and I'll be demonstrating that as well. If you make little boo-boos on your pieces, what you can do to clean those up. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started right away. I'm going to move this out of my way here. Okay, so I have, to start with, when you're working on your glass, you want to make sure that it's really clean. I just take it to the sink and use soap and water and then dry it off really well. And I try not to get my fingerprints too much over this as I'm working. Now, the pattern itself is, I'll print it out. And let's see, where am I? There I am. Okay, print it out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away all the excess paper so that it's going to fit into my glass better. And sometimes I will, I don't know if you can, let's see if I can get this. See, sometimes because of the different curves of the glass, you might have to kind of pinch part of the design to get it to fit or form the glass better. So what I've done is I put the pattern inside the glass and then I stuffed it with plastic bags. And what that does is it pushes the pattern up into the curve of the glass so that it'll be flatter for when you're working. Now on camera, because of the curve of the glass, it makes it a little bit hard. So what I've done is I have a flat piece that's going to be a lot easier for you to see what I'm working on. So I've taken the pattern and I put it inside the plastic bag that my pattern packets are in. That is going to be just like painting on a piece of glass. So it's a good way for you to practice also. However, when you're painting on glass, you make a mistake, all you do is wipe it off and try again. Okay, so to start with, I want to show you about filling in an area. So I'm going to get a couple colors out here and show you the beak. I've got black, I've got hydrangea, and I'll take out some of the coral blush. Okay, so depending on what size the area is, I'm going to use, on this particular design, I'm going to use either my liner or my small round, #1 round. So when you're filling in the areas, I try not to use any water in my paint. The thicker you use it, the more adhesive it's going to be to the glass itself. Now, a lot of people ask, do you clean it off with alcohol? Well, you certainly could. If I'm at a trade show, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use an alcohol wipe to clean my glass because I don't have a sink available. But if I'm at home, I'm going to just use soap and water, just soap and water at the sink, and clean it off. Okay, now I like using these little plastic tubs to put my glass paint in. What it does is it keeps it in a little bit thicker pile for you so it doesn't dry out so easy. And to start with, I load the brush, and this time I'm just using the liner, but I'm really plumping it up with lots of black paint. And then I'm going to scoop up a bead of paint on the tip of the brush. Okay, and when I go to fill in the areas, instead of pulling great big long strokes, which is what we're used to in acrylic painting, I'm going to set it in, and I'm going to take that pile and I'm just going to gently kind of push it along instead of pulling a brush stroke, and I can get a nice thick coverage. I reload often, another big scoop. I'm not even touching the glass. I'm barely just kind of dragging that thick pile of paint. Now, you are going to have ridges, but I use those to my advantage. If you're doing flowers, you pull your stroke in the direction of the vein lines so that the ridges will look like vein lines. But I don't know, can you see what a great coverage I'm getting? That's just one coat. Now, some of the colors you're going to find are a little bit more transparent than others just by nature of the color. And I might have to do a second coat on some, but I never have to do 3 coats. 2 coats at the most. And if I have to do a second coat, I'm going to wait until it dries before I do that second coat. So here I've got lots of paint. Sometimes I'll just kind of go in a little circle, push that around. I've let it just kind of pool onto the surface. Okay, nice coverage. Rinse it in water in between, and I'm going to really dry that brush off. Okay, so then the coral area is the next little section. There again, I'm going to scoop up a nice pile, and this is what most people are going to want to do. Now, I'm actually getting a pretty good coverage on this because I had so much paint, but if you do it slow and just pull that paint along is a better way to go, because there again, I'm probably just going to need the 1 coat on this, but I'm scooping up. I'm not wiping any of that excess off and just kind of pushing it, carefully pushing it so that it really pools into the different areas. Now, as it dries, it will level a little bit. And also, as when you bake it afterwards, it's going to level even more in the oven. And just so before I forget, the baking instructions, and this is no matter if you use the multi-surface satin or the glossy enamel, 325 in your oven, cold oven. Put it on a cookie sheet. I usually turn it upside down and then turn it to 325. Set your timer for about 40 minutes. And once it's done, you shut the oven off, but leave the glass in there till it's cold again. And then you've got a permanent design on your glass. I prefer not to put it in the dishwasher, even though they claim it's dishwasher safe. We all have different water. And so the heat moisture will cause the paint eventually to kind of peel a little bit. So I prefer to just hand wash mine if I want to make sure they're going to last. And I have many glasses that I've put through the dishwasher, but you just never know. Detergent is going to make a difference. Lots of, factors. So to be safe, hand wash. Okay, now here you'll see I'm working with the hydrangea color. And there again, I'm picking it, scooping it up thick, and I'm gently pulling that thick paint to make it move instead of doing brush strokes. It's more of filling in. And that's most of the glass designs that I do are almost like a paint by number. So lots and lots. Now, you can, if you make a mistake, let's say, well, here, let's say I got outside the line over here. Okay, I've got this little foam tip tool that I'm going to dip in water, kind of blot the extra. If the paint is still wet, I can use that to just wipe that excess paint off, or I can use it to smooth out a line. But if it's dry, then I would use this micro stylus, and what I would do is I would pick away the excess paint. But right now this is pretty wet, so I don't want to do that. Okay, so I think you kind of got the idea of what I do for filling in or base coating an area. Let me show you next the feathery for the long neck on the Flamingo here. So I have a rake brush that has a little bit stiffer bristles in it that work nice on the glass. Now, when it comes to the rake, you don't need it to be soft. You want it to be a little bit heavier. So I'm going to start by loading that. And I've got to tell you, a lot of times when I'm working in small areas, I will sometimes even take that brush and I will turn it into a smaller, like a 1/8. So what I do for that is I take a really sharp scissors and right at the ferrule, I just nip off a little bit on each side and I can make myself a smaller brush. So if one feels a little bit too thick, you know, you can change it. Okay, so now I'm not going to want quite as much paint on this, but you're going to see that when you, as soon as you touch the glass, it'll start to separate a little bit. And I just want to pull this kind of little short strokes in the direction that the fur is going to go. So just little short strokes, and I do reload often, scoop up more on the tip. Now, if I hold the brush this way, I'm going to get great big fat lines. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling a little bit more at an angle, and then I can get a little bit shorter strokes. As long as it's wet, you can manipulate it and push it around. Don't like it, I can wipe it off, try again. And I got to tell you, when I was designing the toucan glass, I took this, I had it all painted, and then I waited a couple hours, and I was anxious to get the design transferred off because I freehand them first, then I do a pattern from it. So I went to put paper over it, and guess what? It was a hot, sticky day. The paper stuck to the face, and I ripped the whole face off. So what I did was I cut with the little micro stylus, I cut and picked away an edge that I was going to be able to go back in. I just wiped off all the rest of it. Didn't have to worry about the bottom. That was done. I wasn't going to redo the whole thing again. And I re-put the face back in. So, however, if I have not baked it and I really don't like what I've done, I can take the whole glass to the sink and run it underwater and wipe every bit of it off. It's not very often I do that. I like to, you know, just fix it along the way if possible. But see how I'm just doing short little dabs? I just want to be able to have that texture in there. Go a little bit faster here and just kind of dab that in. And you can do birds and feathers and angel wings, and the Santa hat, I did the fur with around the brim area with this as well. Okay, so but lots of thick paint. A little bit more here. Okay, and then when I'm doing the feathers, I use the same brush. So I've got a stem here in the middle, and I'm just going to get up on the tips and just pull out to get those feathers. So really, a lot of this is kind of like a paint by number, because I'm really not doing a lot of shading and highlighting on most of these designs because you've got that glass coming through, and it kind of gives it a little bit of an illusion that you've done more to it than you actually have. Take a look at some of the things that you see on Disney. When you look at how they do their cartoons, they're flat. They're filling them in flat to begin with. And then, you know, it's just a matter of how you place your color. Okay, now I'm going to use the Tropics Pink, and I'm going to get in the face area here. And I won't know till I take my pattern out if I'm going to need a second coat anywhere. So I don't worry about it until I get all the areas filled in. And I can kind of overlap here to the next, keep picking up more. Just short little strokes, but I kind of have this at an angle. But I'll be able to do a lot of correcting once I take out the pattern. And same color down here on the neck. I got to tell you, I've got my little dog here right now, Ginger, and she is rubbing up and down my leg because she hears me talking and wondering who I'm talking to. Don't worry about going outside of the lines as long as it looks in proportion. That's all that matters. Don't make yourself stick totally to the pattern all the time.
I thought I saw a little something, Jill, coming up from the corner. Now I know what it was.
Yes,
It was
yes.
the dog.
Yes, my little girl. She doesn't like to get picked up. She's a sweetheart. She has just been my buddy through all of this. So, but she can't figure out why I'm talking, and there's no one else here.
A couple of comments, just a couple people saying that
Yes.
it looks so easy. They love the tips. Love that it's easy to wipe off if you make a mistake. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right. It's like a paint by number. I've been painting on glass for years, and I wish I would have seen this like years ago, because I'm that one that kind of tries to base coat it 10 times to get that
Right. And
solid look.
I don't want it flat. By having that the extra ridges, it gives your painted piece much more dimension. It, you know, when you flatten everything out, it just looks flat. It no longer looks painted. It looks more like it's been spray painted on then. So I love just that little bit of a ridge that I can get into the paint.
Yeah.
I just, you know, I think it's just much easier. So this really, you know, and even my flowers, when I'm doing those, I'm there again, just scooping up the paint. So this time I'll switch to the small round brush, scooping up the paint. And if I can do a stroke, that's great. If not, I'm just going to go back and I'm going to fill in. Don't be afraid to go over again. Now, I'm trying not to touch the surface also. I'm almost like I'm painting it up in the air so that I'm barely touching.
Now, a couple other questions. Bella asked, if you're using a scoop of paint, can it slide and ruin your project?
Only if you push the paint is thick. So only if your brush, you know, go. So let's say I put my brush, oops, and I smushed my whole brush stroke there. Well, I just wipe it off.
Good.
You know, you're able to wipe it off. Sometimes you can wipe it off with a wet brush. You can pick it off, but I find it easier to just go ahead and use that little rubber tip and get that off. Now, let's say I didn't like the whole thing. Let me grab a paper towel here. Let's say I didn't like that whole thing. I can wipe off that section. But if my finger is too big, that's where the little foam tip comes in handy to be able to, it's like your eraser.
Yeah.
And just clean that area up
Oh, perfect, perfect. Now we're down to about 5 minutes, and another question is etched glass. Have you painted on etched glass?
Yes, yes, absolutely. You can do the etched glass also. And you can use the same technique. I would still bake it the same, you know, do everything exactly the same. But the, and I don't think they have it anymore. They had a frosted glass paint, but I don't know that they have that anymore in Deco Art. You'll see that in some of my designs. So I am working on trying to figure out another solution for that. And I'll post that as soon as I come up with it. But I have a couple ideas in the works, I think, that are gonna take over, that you'll be able to make your own frost paint. So
Oh, we're looking forward to that. That'll be
yeah,
exciting.
absolutely. So let's see. Can you think of anything else? I mean, I basically have showed you the feather technique, how you fill in. Oh, the other thing with the flowers, let me actually just quickly do that. This one flower here, after I've got it filled in, and there again, I want thick paint, I want ridges, but pull it in the direction of the petal so that it looks like you have vein lines, okay? That really does make a difference. And now, normally I would wait for that to dry before I go back on top. Instead of shading and highlighting like you typically would with your acrylics, I'm doing it with little lines. So I'm going to come back, and I try not to add water unless I have to. Sometimes I do, just to get a little skinnier line. But when the paint is fresh from the bottle, yeah, I'm afraid it's too wet. So let me do this. Let me go on this. This is what I do on top of the petal afterward for shading and highlighting. I'm just pulling little lines to do my
That's awesome.
shading and
Can you
highlighting.
bring the piece a little closer to the camera so they can kind of see the finished results there?
Yes.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Oh, there we
Beautiful.
go. Yeah.
Now, Linda's asking, are the new gloss paints from Deco Art different from the original glossy enamels?
Yes, they are. And let me see, I'm going to switch back
I was
to
just going to
our
say, we'll
camera
switch
so
you
we can
back here.
talk. There we go. Okay. Yes. The new glass paints are actually more of a matte finish.
Okay.
And they did that because I believe people wanted to be able to paint on glass like they do their acrylics, and try to get a flat coat, where I like the ridges because it adds to the dimension of the painting that I'm working on. So it's a totally different, and you just have to try them both to see which one works best for you.
Yeah.
You know, but I like everything shiny. Here's another one that I've done. And there again, you can, if you can see, I've got little lines that I do all my shading and highlighting with, even the leaves. So I fill them in, and then I just do little lines instead of trying to do a floated color or a double blend. And I can do a double blend when I'm working on with the glossy enamels too.
So you've probably done that first base, what we would call base coat, or the set down of the color, and then your dimension, you wait till it dries, and then or almost dry.
Yes, and then I come back in with the little lines.
Okay.
So
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome. Well, this has been fabulous. Just wonderful having Jill on with us today. And there's so much to see. I'm sure we'll have you on again and show us some other things that you're working on. And it's just been a pleasure, Jill.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're a wealth of information. Now, I know you have a little granddaughter that sometimes is around as well.
Yes, I do. I have a couple. I have one that's going to be 2 in September, another one that is 4. one that is 10, one that is 17, a little
Oh,
grandson that
wow.
is 7, and a one that grandson's going to be 22. So
Wow, that's a
well, they
real,
can be creative, and we paint together and
yeah.
have a lot of fun. So my granddaughter Samantha has become quite the artist. I'm just amazed by her work. She does a lot of pencil, and that has kept her creative through all this
Yeah.
confined time. So
Oh, nice.
she's the 17-year-old, and
Oh, wow.
admire her work immensely.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I know I have 3 and they keep you busy, but I just love it. Just love spending time with them and crafting with them and seeing what they're going to create next, right?
absolutely,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, no,
all right. Well, thank
going.
you so much again, Jill, and we look forward to seeing what you come up with next. So,
Great. Thank you. And please
okay.
visit my website,
Yes,
www.jillybean.net.
perfect. Sounds great. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was a real treat. We could probably sit there, I'm sure, all day long and just watch Jill paint. She's just amazing. And it just looks so easy. I know everybody's saying it looks so easy, and the tips and advice that she gives us. Honestly, I've been painting different glass and never really enjoyed it because it's like you just got to keep painting and painting, and just seeing that technique, you just dab that paint in place and that just makes it so much easier. Oh, yes, I'm going to go back to painting glass. Awesome. That's another Christmas project. I'm already working on ornaments, so it's always something new to do. So anyway, next week we have Rita Barakat. I hope I'm saying that right. Rita has her own line of mixed media journals and teaches art journal classes. Met Rita actually a few years back at Creativation, and she was doing some demos for Art Foamy, and we had a booth there for Pinnit Canada promoting our shows down there, and she did some demos for me in the booth, and just an amazing lady, so creative, and yeah, just out there. You won't miss her. Once you see her once, you'll know who she is. So again, thank you everybody for watching today. It's been fabulous connecting with everybody, and I know so many people say that they look forward to it, and you know, watching the show and the connections and just some updates from across Canada. Those are out in BC near Peachland. Make sure you stop by and say hi to Karen for us. And yeah, if you've missed the shows, you can go on to our YouTube channel, which is Pinnit Canada, and all our shows are there, all the Audrey lives and a lot of the little small tidbits, Debbie Cotton's little video will be on there as well today, and all of the other ones that we've had on. So yeah, go take a look there. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so that you will get notification of when we do put up our videos. So anyway, I want everyone to take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we'll see you next week on Audrey Live at 1 Eastern. Bye-bye. Take care and keep being creative.